They don't like me, but I don't put any more than a pound of the acre at the most. I'm kind of extravagant as that. I try to keep my seed costs low because I got most of my seeds in the ground, and if I stir it up, they just come and they're what should be there. Okay? Okay. Now this is something you can't do. The extra, you guys have sandfoin down here? Sandfoin? This is this pink colored stuff. It's a legume. It's non-bloat. See, it doesn't grow in the low spots. So a neighbor gave me 2 ice cream pailfuls, and I went across the field spreading it as thin as I could, and I got up here and I couldn't see any on the ground. There was barely anything on the ground. So I opened it up, see how much thicker it is so I can see it on the ground. And it's a real big seed. It's got a hard coating on it, and it's hard to get it to germinate because it's in this coat. And you're not supposed to be able to stand on top of the ground and seed it. Well, I did this with high stock density. I cracked all the seeds, shoved them in the ground, and I got an excellent catch. This here is all alfalfa, a pound of the acre, just spread on top. That used to look like this here. And like up here where there's no legumes, I experimented spreading that on top, and this is on top. Okay?
You spread it and then put the cattle on?
Yeah, I spread it and put the cattle on afterwards. Now this here is on the wildlife land, and they seeded it straight to alfalfa, and I told them we need more species, and I finally talked them into putting something else on there, and they give me meadow brome. It wouldn't be my first choice, but any grass, it doesn't really matter to me anymore. As long as it's grass and green, they'll eat it. But I bet the first year they come back and there was none of this had grown. It's got a fluffy seed. It takes it longer to establish. See here where I got too wide with the air seeder. They came back 2 years later, and you can see a half a mile away where I got way too far. The heavier seeds are going wider, but these fluffy seeds, they didn't go very far. Okay? That's just it. Okay? Now this here is different ways of setting your things up. This is the last one I would use. This brings your cattle back to the flies every day for water. This is an alley down the middle. I've got some like this. Water here in the middle of every 40 acres. It works good, but I've still got all these permanent wires here for weeds to grow under. This is the one I like the best. An alley down the middle and everything temporary off the side. So if I got time to do this, I'll give them one every day, and then if I'm going to be away for 2 or 3 days, I'll just give them a bigger area and let them conventionally graze more or less.
How do you get them into the temporary?
In here, I'll show you when I got a lifter is what I got.
Is that just a single water source at the bottom end?
Yeah, yeah. I used to think I had to have one for every. I put it here so there was 4. Right, I can't hold. Every 4 paddocks there would be a riser so I could get water so they didn't have to water. I don't anymore. Now my alleys are got enough root system under them. They'll hold the carrying capacity. There's such a long recovery period. The grasses all come back. The way I used to graze, they were either mud or dust, but not anymore. And it doesn't hurt to walk them. It's good for them. I know I feel a lot better if I go for a walk. I can eat more after a walk than if I just got to walk to the fridge and get something to drink.
And the only thing permanent is your alley?
The alley. I'm going to end up with wire rolled up in a pile because I'm going to all this here. It was a learning experience. It cost me a pile of money to put all these cross branches, and now if I was to set up, I just put an alley down the middle, and then when you want to take them home, you put, okay, say they're going that way, and they're in this paddock right here. I put a bungee cord across here so they couldn't go back this way. As soon as they see me lift them and I call them or whatever, I head home and wait for them to come. And I got to get home because when they come at home there, if you've been to Disneyland or an airport, you know how they set up you walk right up to the counter if there's nobody there. As soon as they get a crowd, they start putting these zigzag. So I made these zigzag things coming into the yard, and every time they go around the corner, if we've got time, I'll show you a picture how they speed up to catch the one that just went around the corner. And I just will wait in the corral system. I used to get two of us to bring them home. We'd bring them down a wider alley, one pushing. Barb would be up at the buildings with a big pen and then another big pen we had to put in. They'd go into the pen, turn around, come right back at her. I never hollered at her when they all come running back at me. I just was very polite. Okay? So now I don't even need her there anymore. I can do this all by myself. I just go up right to the corrals and just turn them into different pens. They just keep coming. Cowboy logic. Never have any more cows than your wife can look after. Okay? But those are just different. Now this is some plugs of soil I was going to show with a thing. And this one here is the neighbors, and this is mine. We ate them both off about the same. Didn't look that much different to me. And then the kids took my computer and changed the settings on it, and I went down and put a presentation together. Okay, click again. And here's what happened. They blew things up on me and zoomed right in on things, and I didn't know how to reset it. And I got looking at this. See this? There's no crack in that. There's no crack. This is off the ground. See the plants are pale or yellow. That one may have two leaves, but very few with two, most of them with one. Okay? See here, this is 3 leaves, wider. See all the litter, how it's packed to the soil? It's ready to be broke down by the microorganisms. Okay? That's the neighbor's soil, okay? When I lifted it out of the pail, dirt fell off the bottom. See all the roots? This has been inside all winter, and the roots were all dead and dropping off. Okay, next one. That's the color of mine. Next. See here, one more click. Oh, go back. See, there's a root. There's the root. See, they're still alive. They're found and still alive. They're not dead. They just dropped off with the weight. But there was a way less dirt dropped off of my pile. Okay, next one. I had 1.4 metric ton of organic carbon more per hectare than he did. Okay. Cow pies and dung beetles. Okay. Here's tells me that Connie, just wave at me when you're ready.
We're ready anytime you are. Good go.
Okay, I'll go through the cow pies and then we'll be here. Should I leave them till after? Okay, we'll leave them till after.
Everything going okay? You all right?
Yeah, good. No worries. Are you ready? Okay, we'll start. Okay, cow pies and dung beetles. Dung beetles will bury all the manure
it can go 2, and Roger Shaver said he's seen stuff up to 8 feet deep. And what they feed on, I don't use any, well, I don't know what all the different names are. It's just Ivomec is what I know. But it's that kind of type of product. I have not used any of that stuff on the cattle for years, and I don't have lice. They build up an immunity, and if you've got one that's really bad, there's a neighbor that really likes looking after those seller, and in a few years you won't have lice. It's just, and then you have, what happens is you have, you don't kill your dung beetles. They eat the fly larvae, and that's how you start breaking your fly cycle. Okay. Now here, this cow pie tells me that my cows are getting the right nutrition. See the hole, the dip in the middle there? The little hole, just push one, I think there's a circle goes around. Yeah, that little dip there, that tells me that the cow pie is rounded on the other side and dipped in the middle, she's getting the right nutrition. And see all the holes? That tells me there's good dung beetles. Okay, the next picture. See that cow pie is dipped in the middle, but there's no holes and it's turned silver gray. So I phoned the guy that sent me the picture and asked him, what's going on here? How come there's no dung beetles? Well, this happens to be land that has just been seeded down, so the grass is good quality, but the food chain to the microorganisms and all that has been broken, and there's no activity down there, so the food chain has been broken, so he's got to wait a few years before he gets dung beetles going again. Okay. Well, this one here tells me there's too much roughage. It looks like sliced bread. This one here happened to me a few years ago. We started getting a lot of rain, and it just kept raining and raining, and the grass got really washy, and that, you can see there's absolutely no flies on that. It had an acid smell to it. It really smelled funny. The smells really bothered me. I can go across the field now and I can smell the field, and it's got that ammonia smell all the way across it. It works out pretty well the right time to move the cattle. And if you go to the neighbor's fields, you go into theirs, and there'll be hot spots all over the fields where they sat. Yeah.
Come over and smell like
I could do. No, you can smell the smells of the ammonia smell. And that's what attracts the dung beetles. Okay? There's some of the wasps that keep the flies away, okay? There's a dung beetle. Keep going. There's a bunch of dung beetles. This is in the fall. You have a flush in the spring, one later on, and then one in the fall. And every different species has their own dung beetles. Okay? Just keep going. That's horse manure there. Okay. Just keep going. Those are flies. Okay, this is, I said I had learning experiences. This is one of them. This is this deep ripping that they're doing. Okay, I found this summer, I checked this land where I deep ripped. It was up to 12 degrees warmer than the soil right beside it, and the bricks were always 2 to 3 bricks lower. Okay, next picture.
How long ago was it that you ripped it?
That was last year in the dry year. It was, and here's what happened. Okay, the next picture. There's where I ripped. The next picture. There's right beside it where I didn't rip. It may work for some places, but I can do as much, and it costs me way less with one of those reels, and I get the same water infiltration. If you do this ripping and don't change your management, all you're going to do is end up with a hard pan deeper, and you got a bigger problem. You've got to change what you're doing. You can't just bury it. It may work for a few years, but it's going to cause you problems down the road, is what I see. Okay? Okay, the next one, and that's it. If you want to switch to any questions while we're waiting for the switch? Yeah.
You may address this later, but do you have you seen any difference, or do you know of any difference in stocker gains with pond water versus treated city water?